Welcome to Fegan and Finch, the podcast where we discuss everything football related. I'm Alex Finch.
And I'm Ryan Fegan. Let's talk football.
Well, this week, as 2020 comes to an end, there's only one podcast. Hallelujah! Well, hopefully 2021 will be better, but at least we've got football on hands. But there's only one thing we could do as a year comes to an end. We've got to pick our best Premier League team of 2020. Just of the calendar year. We're not talking about a bit of 2019, 2020. We're talking about just the calendar year. So from January to December of 2020, who's been the best 11 in the Premier League? So it's going to be a hard one, but these are the best podcasts summing up a team based on how good players have actually performed. What do you think, Fegan?
I think that's the perfect way to end 2020, Finch, with a bit of happiness with the Fegan and Finch podcast, and we're going to here to discuss the best team of 2020.
Of course, and we're just restricting it to the Premier League, the best league in the world. Yeah. So that's the simple reason. Everyone watches the Premier League. You could do a European one, but I think the Premier League's the best place to go. It's best league in the world, the league everyone still watches, the league which still delivers in coronavirus times, unlike some other leagues. So we're sticking with that. I think we know where we're going with the formation. I think we didn't even discuss that. I'm thinking 4-3-3. What about you?
Mate, I've already gone 4-3-3.
4-3-3, the modern formation. We're going for that. I think it picks itself, that formation, with most teams in the Premier League going for it. And I think when we start off with a goalkeeper, I think we're going to be very quick here. What are you thinking?
Well, I think there's only really one choice for goalie, mate. Quite a long name. Cost £72 million. Plays for Chelsea. Kepa Arrizabalaga.
I think that's a fair shout. He's made. You can't deny he's probably made a bigger impact than any other goalie in the league.
He's set up a lot of goals, mate.
He's made big impacts, but you have to say it's probably a bigger impact for every other team, but Chelsea. Give them goals left, right, and centre. But Kepa Arrizabalaga, you're on the bench, mate. You're on the bench. Not on our bench for this team, but you're on the bench for Chelsea. You're on the bench of Chelsea. That's on a good day. So I don't think it's going to be. You, mate. I think it's going to end up in Brazil. I don't know about you. What you?
Do you reckon?
I think it's one of the Brazilians.
Yeah, actually, saying that, I was going to say Dean Henderson, but because he's not really played much for the latter part of 2020, I reckon we got to give it Alisson. I think we have to give it Alisson.
Yeah, I think he's been best by a mile in this year because Ederson has been outstanding for a few seasons. Last year, he got 16 clean sheets, which is absolutely crazy, and was the most out of any goalie, and that was absolutely incredible. But I feel like Ederson's standards has dropped a little bit this season. And you've got to take into account this season we're not just taking into account last season, we're taking into account this calendar year. And Alisson, whenever he plays, he makes that bit of difference for Liverpool, and he's such a huge upgrade for them as well. And he just seems like he makes save after save after save. And when Liverpool don't have him, you can easily see it in their team that their defence is more shaky. They can see more
with
goals.
Adrian in there,
and you saw the significant game Liverpool lost this year is when they didn't have Alisson at Aston Villa. It was 7-2. They had Van Dijk. They had their best defence. But they didn't have Alisson. And that shows the importance.
Just like they didn't have Alisson when they played Atletico Madrid at Anfield and they lost to them.
Yeah, and that's completely right. And I think Liverpool, without Alisson, aren't the best team in the league. But with him, they are. Even Liverpool without Van Dijk, but with Alisson, I think are still the best team in the league, as we're seeing now. But when he's not there, he makes such a big contribution to the team. Not just being in that position, but the whole defence. The whole defence looks so much more shored up. I'm not sure if they feel much more confident with him there, or he's a very good talker. It's something which just provides that extra little edge for Liverpool. And you can just see the difference with their team when he's there. He makes such a big contribution. I think
they're much more confident with him in there.
Yeah, and he sort of exemplifies what everyone's been saying for years about goalkeepers, like an upgrade from a good goalkeeper to a great goalkeeper. Like points wise, is completely unquantifiable. You can't put points talent because that's how much great goalkeepers are worth. There's not been a Premier League winner in history without a great goalkeeper, because you need to have a great goalkeeper to win the league.
Exactly.
They are so crucial. People always said with Liverpool before they signed them, like they're never going to win the league with an average goal like Mignolet, Karius. Yeah, they were never going to win. It doesn't matter if they had Van Dijk or like 4 Van Dijks in defence. Let's say if you've got a bad goalie, you still are going to concede. Whereas when they brought Alisson, it made a huge difference.
Well, yeah, they finished second in the league. 1 point behind City, won the Champions League, then won the league the next year.
Definitely, but I know we're putting Alisson in there, but I think Nick Pope has got to get mentioned. 15 clean sheets last year.
Yeah,
he just got picked by Ederson to the Golden Gloves. With Ederson got 16, and this season, surprisingly to some, Mr. Martinez at Aston Villa's leading the Golden Gloves at the moment, leading the clean sheet race. He's got 8 clean sheets so far, which isn't too bad. And a lot of people were saying when he left Arsenal, it's a maybe a bad decision by Arsenal letting Martinez go ahead of Leno, because obviously Martinez was pretty good end of last year. So yeah, so he's leading the way and probably putting one finger up to Arsenal at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, Dean Henderson, he deserves a mention for all he done for Sheffield United. And like I say, I would have included him had he been playing more regularly for Man United. He was a huge part of Sheffield United and them staying up and really surprising us all with what they done last year. And it just shows how good he was in that team now that he's not there.
And I think actually, this season, I think David De Gea has picked up his form in the league. Whenever I watched him, he's been not back to his absolute best, but back to an outstanding goalkeeper level. And I think that's because he has Dean Henderson down his neck, so he knows if he doesn't have a good game, Henderson's in the team. But it's been the best I've seen De Gea in years.
That's why De Gea needed. He needed that competition.
Yeah, because it used to be a few years ago, every year you'd be saying De Gea would be in this team, the best team of the year in the Premier League. He was
best team in the world, really.
Yeah, by a country mile, was the best goalie, wasn't he, for ages?
Yeah.
And then
absolutely incredible. But then the World Cup happened, and he just went downhill.
Yeah, but yeah, that was quick. Then our goalie Alisson, Mr. Becker, straight in there, Brazilian goddess, straight in our team. And now
I think
back four.
Even quicker, Finch, will be the fullbacks.
Left back,
we can name both right now, I'd say.
Yeah, left back. I think the left back. I think has been the best fullback in the Premier League over the last 2 years, in my opinion. Mr. Robinson. I don't know if you agree.
100% Finch.
I think he's been Liverpool's best player this season as well. I think whenever I've watched him, it's been absolutely. I think he's been crazy good this year. He's absolutely phenomenal. His work ethic is where he bursts up and down the pitch. Absolutely crazy. Last year, getting 17 Premier League assists. Last year I think he got 13 or 14 last year, but since the start of last year, he's got 17 assists, which is a crazy start in a season and a half for a fullback.
Unbelievable, mate. Unbelievable. And then his partner in crime on the opposite side, done even better than him.
Yeah, 100%.
He was incredible last season, and he has been injured for a bit, start of this season. But, now he's back and he's pinging them balls in, man. I saw his pass. I just saw his pass, actually. They did tonight against Newcastle, and they're already saying it's one of the passes of the season. It's absolutely Trent Alexander-Arnold is a generational talent, mate. He is phenomenal. He deserves to get into this team of 2020 just for his performance against Leicester at the end of 2019. That is one of the best individual performances I've ever seen.
100%. 100%. And with Trent, I just said Robinson's got 17 assists since the start of last year. He got 12. Robinson got 12 assists last season. Like you said, Trent did even better. He got 13 assists for a 20-year-old last year. To get 13 13 assists in the league is absolutely crazy. It must be that must be a record.
Has to be a record.
No 20-year-old fullback could have ever got 13 assists. No 20-year-old in any position in the Premier League, I don't think it's got 13 assists, let alone a fullback. No. So that just shows his talent. And like you said, this year I think is maybe because of his injury at the start, he dropped off for a bit. He wasn't his usual standards for fair, but I think the last 2 or 3 games has started to get back at it. And I think tonight Liverpool are playing Newcastle, and it seems like he's now completely back on it. I think the thing which may be lacking, maybe for Liverpool more generally this season, has been those crossfield balls from Trent and Robinson, but it seems like they're back on it. And Trent is phenomenal with his passing. That when you said generational talent, it's a generational passer. Is that good with it? And tonight you said pass of the season possibly against Newcastle, and that just shows he's back on it. When he gets those crossfield balls going, that's when he's at his best. And there's probably not many players in the Premier League, if any, who are as good at crossfield balls as him.
No, I completely agree. I think, like we said before, these two are absolute shoo-ins always for their spots, left and right back. And they honestly, when we do this podcast next year, they'll probably regain their spots again. You know.
Yeah, and we're talking about Trent here as well, and as being a generational talent. Trent and Alisson, they're 2 players who not just got in the Premier League team this season, they also got in the FIFA team this season. These are players who are in the best, potentially, overall, considered by FIFA as the best players in their position in the world. And Robinson didn't get in the team of the year. I think he should have, to be honest. I think he's probably, if you're going to choose one of the fullbacks, Trent's phenomenal, but I think over last year, Robinson's just been a little bit better. I think this season he's been fit for longer periods and has been probably a little bit better overall, a bit more consistent. And maybe Trent, if Trent wants to improve, he's only got to look around the corner, just look at what Robinson's doing. And it's only maybe a tiny bit of improvement, but they're both phenomenal. It just shows if you're sort of trying to argue which is better, it's a hard job. Absolutely phenomenal fullbacks. And
fantastic.
Like you said,
brilliant.
Probably next year it could be very similar. It could be the same fullbacks. Yeah. I think there's probably more competition at right back than there is at left back. I don't think.
Yeah,
in the Premier League, Robinson's a miles clear of any other left back. That's because the left back quality isn't there. Maybe Reguilon is up and coming. I know that is
Luca Digne, but even so, I still just think Robinson's head and shoulders above the rest.
Yeah, when you look at this year, if you look at all the stats, Reece James and Aurier are rated. They were miles behind, I think, Trent last year, but they're rated better than Trent, rated as the best fullbacks this year. If you look at all the stats, Reece James and Sergio Aurier seem very similar in terms of their rankings.
Okay, yeah.
So I think,
I think we're off to a flyer already, Finch, with this team.
I mean, it's going to get a bit difficult now, isn't it? We've got all Liverpool players at the moment. Liverpool left back, Liverpool right back, Liverpool goalkeeper.
Finch, you know what, mate? We might as well just add another Liverpool player. Let's move on to centre backs. Come on, you know it's coming.
It's Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah, Virgil van Dijk.
Virgil van Dijk, of course, potentially the best player in the world over last year. He got the UEFA Player of the Year not too long ago, and it's definitely the best defender in the world. I think at the moment. I know he's injured, but if just before his injury, he said who's the best defender in the world, 8 out of 10 people would probably say Van Dijk, just because he's been that good. Liverpool last year had the fewest goals conceded. A large part of that is Alisson, but a large part of that is Van Dijk. He's absolutely phenomenal.
It was world class, Finch, in every stretch of the imagination. Absolutely fantastic. You couldn't ask for a better centre back, really. Let's be honest. And when he got injured, he's so good. When Van Dijk got injured this season, everyone was saying, right, we'll Liverpool aren't winning the title no more. Then just not doing it. That's how highly everyone rates Virgil van Dijk. How important everyone thinks he is to Liverpool.
And I think when people said that, I was one of them. I said, well, I don't know if Liverpool can do it, because he upgraded Liverpool so much when he came in from a fairly average defence to a title contending defence when he came there. And because of that upgrade, people thought, without that, they're going to go back to that average defence. But people forgot that in that time period when he got there, to then win the league. Alisson also came in. So I think him being injured has allowed Alisson to get the plaudits he deserves. And Alisson, people to realise how important Alisson is to the team, because they have still been outstanding in defence, and large part of that is Alisson.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Finch, you're preaching to the choir, mate. Them two have probably been them two and Salah have probably been the most important signings for Liverpool in the last, say, 20 years.
100%.
Absolutely. Well, last 30 years even. They've been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and there's very few clubs where you can go, they needed a goalkeeper, they needed a centre-back, and that would improve them. Whereas Liverpool, they were before Van Dijk came, probably about 5 years before that, you were always saying they need a centre-back, they need a goalkeeper. And in the same sort of time period, they went out and bought the best there was in the market in both positions. And luckily, at that moment, the best in the market was also potentially the best in the world. They've gone on to be the best in the world. Like you've seen since clubs try and do the same, it hasn't worked out as well, just because the people in the market at that point weren't necessarily as good as what Alisson and Van Dijk are. But again, another player who got in the FIFA team of the year, so there's no argument with that really. We're talking about players best in the world in their positions at the moment. Easy picks, aren't they?
Without a doubt, man. Like I say, we've got 4 Liverpool players in this team already, and I feel like we could maybe see 1 or 2 more enter this team by the end of the podcast, without a doubt.
Yeah. But I think the Liverpool, an excellent team, but they're so clear in terms of the other teams in their defence and goalkeeper. Maybe less so in their attack's outstanding, their midfield's outstanding, but less so in those aspects, because I think there's more competition. The Premier League's blessed with absolutely amazing attackers and midfielders, whereas defenders, they're blessed with some great defenders, but maybe not world-class defenders and world-class goal. Maybe not world-class defenders to the level of what Liverpool had. I was going to say goalkeepers there, but I think that'd be a bit harsh because there's a number of
goalkeepers. Kasper Schmeichel's still absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. And you got Ederson, outstanding. He hasn't been as good this year, I don't think. He's made a few mistakes, but still absolutely outstanding goalie. You got Pope. You got like you said, Henderson. You got Lloris, I think, has been outstanding this year. Mendy's been absolutely outstanding on it. He had a couple of off games recently, but absolutely outstanding up to that. And Lloris has been the best he's been in years. People always forget Lloris is a French captain. Led the French national team to the World Cup. Yeah, I think
so many great keepers these days in the Prem. And to think that Alisson's best of the bunch. I mean, he's got to be doing something right.
Yeah, and I think there's no even argument about it, is there either? It's so clear, and like we said before, he's by far the best goalkeeper, and it was just an easy decision for us to put him in. And again, I said FIFA Team of the Year. All these 4 players we've said, 4 players we've said so far: Alisson, Trent, Virgil van Dijk, Robertson. They also got on the UEFA Team of the Year. Easy picks. But now I think it's getting hard now. The other centre back, it's quite hard to pick because, like you said before, Liverpool are so clear.
Let's go somewhere else, Finch. Where are we thinking? I think we may have similar ideas for the centre back.
Well, there's a few picks, isn't there? So let me read out a few.
Go for it.
So starting off at Tottenham, Eric Dyer has been a revelation since he's gone back into centre backs. He was a CDM for years. He's moved to centre mid for years. He wasn't great. But he's been a revelation since coming into there. He's been since going centre back. He's been an absolute revelation. But I'm going to stop myself there.
Revelation the last sort of 2 months.
Well, no, since April he's gone there. Since April he's gone to that centre back position. And obviously, you got to remember the Premier League was stopped for 2 months. So he's been pretty much most this year, most of the 2019-20 later part of that year, and the whole of this season in centre back. And Tottenham looked so much more secure with him there. I think it's worth mentioning. He's not worth being in the team, 100%.
No.
I think he's one of the people. I was going to bring in Harry Maguire because I think he's absolutely having.
Oh my god!
I'm joking.
This has got to be a wind up.
I'm joking. The next up, I would have said. Another person I would have put in the mention if we were just talking about last season. I would have just been talking about Laporte But Laporte's dropped off the boil so much this year. I'm not sure really what's happened to him, but he's dropped off the boil, so it is not going to get in my
He
thoughts
didn't really
anyway.
play much last year either, did he?
But I think he played a fair amount, and he was.
I thought
whenever he played,
he got bad. I think he broke his arm or some shit. I thought last year.
Whenever he played last season, he was a dominant force. Well, I say he's played 20 times in total last year, which isn't amazing, but
they had Fernandinho repping the centre back, didn't
they? Yeah, and about another person who's gone off the boil. He got injured last year, but when he's played this year, he's gone off the boil. So he's not in my thoughts. Then going over to Wolverhampton, Connor Cody's been phenomenal since his start of his career at Wolves. Phenomenal since he's gone there. He's taken them up the leagues. He's adapted to each league and he's got better and better. And now over the past few years at Wolves in the Premier League, he's their captain. He dominates he dominates all their stats. He dominates Wolves' defence. He's a complete leader and is now being recognised for England as well. But over the past year, I think he's really matured into a really good ball-playing, dominant centre-back. And that's why he started to play for England. It's been really good whenever I watched him for England as well. He's made that step up. He even scored for England against Wales. So I think he's worth a shout just because of his performances. And also this season's continued that being phenomenal for Wolves this year. And I think last 2 seasons, since Wolves got promoted, he's played every single game. And that shows how important he is. He plays the full 38 games in the Premier League. And that shows a great sign of a player. Not just because he's got good fitness, but because he's bloody good because the manager selects him in a very competitive team. Because Wolves are a competitive team. It's hard to start every game, especially this Christmas period, but he's doing it. I think fantastic. He's worth a shout, but again, not in the team.
Nope.
Another person, Tyrone Mings. I think Mings has also come on a huge amount, and a lot of these players are the same kind of level. Like the problem we're having is Van Dijk and Trent and Robinson. They're all bloody good at what they do, and
exactly. They set such a high standard.
The fourth player in that defence is quite hard because there's a bunch of players at a lower level. They're still bloody good, but they're at a lower level, and they're all quite similar. Like Mings is another person. He's been phenomenal the past year. He's stepped up his game. He is what Cody is to Wolves. He's that to Aston Villa. He's an absolute phenomenal centre back for them. And he's like Cody. He's beginning to get recognised for England as well. And he's played 7 times for England now, and is playing for England because of what he's been doing at club level. And it's not easy to get recognised for Aston Villa or for Wolves. England usually pick the players from United, from Chelsea, from Tottenham, from City, from Liverpool, but we've gone with the likes of Mings and Cohen. It's been successful playing with them lately. But again, not a player in my team. And then we come on to players I think who might be in your team. I'm going to leave the player who's in my team last, and I'll let you talk about your players. So I think Sanucci is going to be in your team, isn't he?
Yeah, well, it's a tough one because I can't decide whether to put next to Virgil van Dijk, Soyuncu, or his partner in crime, Johnny Evans. I say this because Soyuncu is the clear answer because of how phenomenal he was since the departure of Harry Maguire last season and how he transformed that Leicester defence to be even better than what it was when they had Maguire. So I'm tempted to put him. However, he hasn't actually played much this season, if any.
Yeah, I think he's played four times.
Exactly, which really makes me think, Johnny Evans was also a very key part of that Leicester defence, which was absolutely phenomenal last season. They had a big surge from where they was at the season before with Harry Maguire. They finished 5th. Finch, at the end of the day, they were absolutely fantastic last season. They were so close to getting top 4, which no one ever thought they would do. We were talking last Christmas, about Leicester potentially having another title win. Hell, we were talking about it this season about Leicester having another title win. They just seem to be getting better and better and improving more and more. And a huge part of that is down to the defence. Whether it be Cash Michael, they got Ricardo Pereira. He was absolutely fantastic. Ben Chilwell was brilliant last season. Had a bit of a dip after Christmas, but brought it back after the league started back up again. They've got a fantastic little setup going on, but it's just whether I pick Soyuncu or Johnny Evans. And honestly, I think I'm gonna go Evans. I'm gonna go Johnny Evans just because of what he's done this season, mixed in with also last season. Had Soyuncu played, I would have put Soyuncu.
Yeah, since you got that team of the year last year deservedly, but it could have been Evans again. And Leicester's defence has always been phenomenal. They're excellent recruitment. I know since you came in the year before Maguire, but he was sort of settling in the year Maguire really came to the fore at Leicester, and then went to United. And when Maguire left, since you took charge, and Leicester's recruitment's been outstanding. When Chilwell left, Castagna came in. They've also brought in Fofana, who's covered for Soyuncu really well. It's been bloody good for them, and it's carried on their trend of excellent recruitment. Same thing with Ricardo Pereira getting injured. They've just played James Justin from signing they brought in last year from Luton. Been absolutely phenomenal for them. So I think you're absolutely right in pointing out those two players. I think Soyuncu, great shout, but the player I've gone with is a bit he's a bit left wing. He's probably a player not many people would think about. It's James Tarkowski from Burnley. And
good shout.
I was doing a bit of research here. Look at some of the stats. I often look at who scored to look at their ratings. I think they're really, really good, trusted rating agency. And I was looking last year, who was rated as the best centre-backs in Europe? And Van Dijk was rated as the best centre-back in Europe. And rated as the second best centre-back in Europe across the top 5 leagues. I'm only talking top 5 leagues, as there was some crazy ratings for players in bloody the Belgium second division. So I weren't talking about that. Rated second in Europe's top 5 leagues was Tarkowski, which is quite surprising. I knew he was good, but I didn't realise he was getting those kind of ratings. And that just shows how important he is to Burnley. He played every single game last year. And again, like with Cody, played every single game. It's so important to Burnley, to their hopes of staying out every year. And there was a lot of talk of Tarkowski actually going to Leicester.
Leicester.
Yeah. And here's a reason.
Money fee as well.
And here's a key reason why Burnley are continually staying up. A lot of people saying this year, Burnley's it's their season, they're going to go down. They're 5 points clear at the moment, and they made maybe one signing over the summer. They haven't improved their team at all.
No.
Their defence is so solid. Maybe the opposite end of the scale to Leicester's defence being solid as their foundation. Leicester have got great attackers to go along with it, but Burnley's defence are the reason they start every year. And Tarkowski is a key part of that. He's absolutely phenomenal. Probably doesn't get the credit he deserves. So I'll put him in there just because I think he's a key part of keeping a very average team in the Premier League. Because if you look at their team player by player, I think they potentially have the worst team player by player in the league.
Yeah,
maybe second worst. Maybe you put West Brom or
West Brom they're really Championship sort of standard sort of teams. I get you. Yeah.
I think you put Sheffield United player by player ahead of them. You put Fulham player by player ahead of them. You put Brighton player by player ahead of them. Yeah. Because even though Sheffield United are awful player by player, they're very good.
Yeah.
Whereas look at Burnley's team. Look at who plays in their team. I don't think it's that great. They've got. I know Pope's a phenomenal goalkeeper, but except from Pope, Tarkowski, and me, the rest of the team is Championship players like Brownhill, Jack Cork, Ashley Barnes, Robbie Brady, Chris Wood, like you said.
Don't be dissing my man Chris Wood, Finch.
Ashley Westwood, Vidra, Phil Barnsley. I'm talking about Championship players here.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought he's worth a mention. And to be honest, I think it's so hard to pick between. I think there's 4 there, but it's really hard to pick between. I think it's Cody, Tarkowski, Soyuncu, and Evans. I can't pick between them 4.
My pick's going to be Johnny Evans. That's my
Johnny Evans?
With my gut. Yeah, I'm going Johnny Evans. I don't know about you, Fincho. Whether you have a difference of opinion, going to pick your own centre back.
I'll go with Johnny Evans as well. Although he hasn't played much this season, remember either.
More than Soyuncu.
I think has he played? Let's fact check this. Reality check. He has played this season in the Premier League 12 times. So I guess that's
it's only
a fair
been
amount.
16 games. Well, even 14 games really.
Yeah, so I'll give you that. Yeah, let's put Johnny Evans in there. I can if you were sure about one of them, I'll go with it.
He played every single game last year.
Yeah, there's 4 I weren't too sure about. So we've got our back 5 sorted there. Then cracking back 5: Alisson, Van Dijk, Evans. Then there's 2 outstanding fullbacks, Robinson and Trent. And I think also this season, before we continue, it's worth mentioning Vestergaard at Southampton's been bloody good. This season potentially been. If I was picking a team just so far this season, I'd probably put him there. I think he's been that good.
He's been really good. He looks like it's like a Van Dijk regen, like how he's built and everything.
He's scoring goals as well.
It's absolutely fantastic.
But he's exactly what you said. He's like a Van Dijk regeneration.
He's really odd.
Yeah, he's an absolute massive man. He does outstanding pings, like Van Dijk pings to the strikers, to Ings and to Adams across the field. So it's taken a couple of years to get into it, but now he's bloody good. And is at a similar age to what Van Dijk came into the fore as well, like 27, 28?
There was a bit of talk actually of Vestergaard leaving, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Start of the season, because they had Jack Stevens and the other guy, Bednarek, that's it, yeah. They had them 2 playing last year. There wasn't really much room for Vestergaard, but mate, this season he's made it so that he is the number 1 centre back.
Definitely, I think top 3 centre backs in the country at the moment.
Yeah,
going by his current form, bloody good. But yeah, so he's worth mentioning again. But last season he was near any other level, but this season, hopefully he continues. And we could be talking about you, Mr. Vestergaard, in the next year.
Yes. Well, Finch. Moving on to the midfield, where I think this also may be quite quick. I feel like we'll probably have the 3 midfielders.
2, I reckon. 2 will be the same.
Do you think?
I think I struggled with the third one again because there was a few around for different reasons. There's a couple I couldn't decide upon, but I think 2 are quite clear, aren't they?
I think 2 are definitely clear.
You gone with Mr. Fernandes?
Oh yeah, I picked him first thing. It's so annoying as well. Like what a signing he has been. Absolutely phenomenal for Man United. His stats are absolutely insane, man. Absolutely insane. 30 games in the Premier League, 18 goals and 13 assists.
That's unheard of in your first year.
Phenomenal. He's literally had, honestly, in this team, I'd say he's had the best year solo. If I can say that. Like 2020
best solo
year. He has transformed Man United without a doubt.
100%.
Like United before that had 1 world-class player in They had 2 world-class players, but 1 only world-class when he wants to be, and that's Martial when he wants to be, and the other world-class I would say is Paul Pogba.
Yeah, and potentially De Gea. As well.
Well, not the last couple of years, I would say, world-class. But now with Fernandes, they've definitely got 2 guaranteed world-class players. He is phenomenal, Finch. Last season, United did not look like making top 4. They made top 4 with Fernandes. They did not look like going anywhere in the Cup. They reached 3 semi-finals. Admittedly, they bottled each semi-final, but to even get to semi-final speaks for itself.
Yeah. It's just 1 player completely transforming a team. It had the biggest impact on a team since Salah did when he came to Liverpool, I think. When Salah broke that goal scoring record when he came to Liverpool was phenomenal. But although he broke those stats, Fernandes has probably had a bigger impact in terms of a single player coming to a team, a bigger impact than any player can remember for a team. Because 12 months ago, United were a completely different place. And for what he's done there, it's unheard of getting 3 Player of the Month awards in less than 12 months, getting those 18 goals and 13 assists. For a midfield player like he is, and facing huge criticism as well along the way. People say, he only scores penalties. And then he goes on and scores a load of goals, which are not penalties, and people have stopped talking about that now. And I just think, what a player! It's just quite funny and sums up United that they could have had him in the summer. They could have had him in the summer before. There was so much talk about it. It seemed like they just needed to bid for him, but they waited until January just because that's what the top of the club United are and got them there. Mm-hmm. If they had him in the summer, they could have been second or third last year. Is that good? He transformed them, completely transformed them. Like this season, if he gets injured, they've had it.
Oh, if he gets injured, they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is their Van Dijk. He is that.
It's more than that. I think we haven't seen a club rely on a player as much as United do to Bruno Fernandes since Gareth Bale at Tottenham.
Yep.
Gareth Bale at Tottenham was what I would call a one person, one player team. Everything was centered around giving the ball to Bale. Everything was centered around making Bale have opportunities, and he was bloody good at what he did that season. And the reason they did well is because of Bale. The same with Fernandes. The whole team is centered around him having the ball, him creating assists. And if he went from that team, I just think that they would really suffer, and you'd see how important he is.
Yeah,
which is bad. It's good that you have such a world-class player, but it's bad that you rely on him so much.
Yeah,
but he's going to get injured at some point.
He's got to at some point. It's just inevitable at the minute, but he is that inevitable player. He's always going to do something, it seems, every single week. You know, it's so annoying. So annoying.
Yeah. He leads by example as well.
Watch. I'm just happy as another world-class player in the league.
Yeah. I knew he was bloody good from the stats in Portugal, but there's a massive gulf and class between Portuguese league and the Premier League. And if you can transfer your form from those leagues, you're a world-class player if you can do that. Because there's not many players who can transfer form from an average league to a world-class league, to the best league in the world. If you can do that, that shows just how good you are. And it shows if he's done it immediately as well. It's not it's taken a lot of players take 6 months, 12 months to settle in. We're talking about his first 12 months and what he's done in his first 12 months at United. Most players don't achieve what he's done in his first 12 months in the whole career.
Well, no, and Finch, what we're saying is all the players we're going to have in this team, all world class. That five alone is incredible. And we're saying already this Bruno Fernandes is a standout player of this team of 2020.
I think he is the standout player of, although he hasn't won anything, he could go in any team in the Premier League and make them better. Any team that is that good. I can't sing his praises enough. He just, I didn't expect him to be a leader as well. Like, see United last night, 1-0 win, and when Rashford scored that goal at the end, he celebrated more than any other player because it shows how much it means to him. It shows how much football means to him and winning means to him. And every player he takes that on, I'm sure he's a leader in the dressing room as well. So he's made United stronger on that front. And previously in midfield, they had everything on Pogba, all the attention on Pogba. Wasn't no good for Pogba, no good for United. And United had to play Pogba because they had no one to his level in midfield. Now United don't really need to care about Pogba. So they've got Fernandes, they can put 2 other midfielders next to him. Doesn't need to be Pogba. And now that's solved their Pogba problem really, because I think if I was United, I'll just get rid of him now. I'll get rid of Pogba. You don't need him. He doesn't add anything.
You don't, mate.
I know he's a world-class player on his day, but those days are very few at the moment, and there's more trouble than is worth, I think.
Yeah. I agree with you there.
Who's going to pay for him, though?
Real Madrid, go back to Juventus. Inter Milan, maybe, could ever have a go. Hey, maybe even a Premier League team.
Yeah.
Chelsea have always been fans of Pogba.
Yeah. You haven't got any room in that midfield, have you? Bloody hell.
No.
And there's wages as well. There's wages.
Maybe higher. Could do a complete, 180 and go Man City.
Oh, yeah, although Pep wouldn't deal with that, though, would he?
I don't know, man.
I can't see Pep dealing with that. I think if he was going to go anywhere, he'd go back to Italy and go to Juventus. Madrid, I don't know. I don't know why he'd go Madrid at the moment. I know you can play there, but they're not in a great place.
Nope.
Although he could see himself as the man reviving them. I'm not sure, but
maybe.
But I think So we've got Fernandes there, and I think the next one, I think you can say, I think is going to be a person we both agree with.
Kevin De Bruyne.
Of course, Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, phenomenal season last year, Player of the Year. in my eyes. He was absolutely...
You got PFA player of the year,
yeah. PFA player of the year. Obviously, Jordan Henderson was he was the sports personality of the year, didn't he, Jordan Henderson?
Yeah,
but
Football Writers. He got runner-up BBC Sports Personality of the Year and FWA, Football Writers Award, Football of the Year.
Yeah. I think maybe we'll see Jordan Henderson in this team.
Maybe not.
Maybe, yeah, maybe not. But Kevin De Bruyne definitely deserves his spot. He was insane last year, Finch. He, equaled the assist record. Probably should have broke it. But, I mean, to assist that amazing stat set by the great Thierry Henry, 20 assists, and 13 goals, Finch. Numbers are just mental. Absolutely mental.
Yeah.
Them sort of numbers deserve a title win, but it just shows how great Liverpool was. It just shows how great Liverpool was, and really how poor Man City was to finish so far behind Liverpool. And it just seemed like De Bruyne was the one really just spearing them through that season.
Man, he got that assist tally up so high at the beginning, didn't he? I swear he got to halfway through the season. He was on over 12 or 13. And then the second half, everyone thought he'll get the remaining 8 to overtake Henry quite easy. But even getting 20 is absolutely phenomenal. And he was...
Yeah.
He was probably... He is, by talent... I know people were saying Fernandes has had the best year overall. But by pure talent, De Bruyne is the best midfielder in the league, I think.
Mm-hmm.
There's no denying that. Fernandes is absolutely phenomenal, but by pure talent, De Bruyne is on his own in terms of
he is
how good he is
class, mate.
as
World
a
class.
midfielder.
Yeah, he's really stepped up since Hazard left the league, I think.
Yeah, it's just keeping him fit again, isn't it? Because he does have injuries every now and again, little injuries. Yeah. So if you can keep him fit, then City always have a chance of winning the league and other competitions. But the only player who could rival him in terms of talent is what we said before, Thiago. But obviously he hasn't played much at all.
No,
he's the only
he is
player.
very injury prone, a lot more injury prone than what De Bruyne is. So,
like next year we could be talking about Thiago and De Bruyne. We just don't know.
Yeah, potentially, man. Thiago,
but by talent, it should be.
Fernandes.
If you're just looking at pure talent, that's what it should be. I think De Bruyne, Thiago, very similar in talent. Fernandes, different kind of player, but probably the third most talented amongst those three, which isn't bad at all. He's still potentially the third best midfielder in Europe at that rate.
Yeah.
But yeah, those two pick themselves. I think if you had those two midfield, bloody hell, you're completely sorted.
Could you imagine, man? Oh my god.
The thing, neither of those two, they didn't cost mega money. I think Fernandes was 60 mil, so was De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Considering their talents, it's not that bad.
Not mega bucks, but not exactly cheap either.
No.
But for what they got, I mean, it's quite a bargain, let's be honest.
Considering United paid, was it 80 mil for Maguire the summer before?
Yeah. Well, they paid 90 for Lukaku.
90 for Lukaku. And City paid 50 million for Mendy.
Yeah.
When you think about it, you put those kind of things in context, then it's not bad business at all.
It's not bad business, Finch. You got to think of think of it in this way as well. What are they worth today?
Easy over 120 mil.
United bought Fernandes for 5 years on from what City bought De Bruyne for. How much are they worth right now? Easy double.
Yeah, easy.
So,
you just can't see any team buying them because they cost that much. And also, that like De Bruyne is 29 now. It's that age. Whenever I think a player hits 29, I think you just not, and they're bloody good. They're not worth the money, if you know what I mean. I can't see teams taking the risk and the money to buy them, except if you get like Ronaldo's, you're going to make it back from merchandise. Except that's the only kind of, and also Ronaldo's a freak as well. He'll carry on playing for bloody ages. Or most players get 29.
Plays like he is 29.
Yeah. It's unlikely that they're going to be sold in their peaks. I can't see De Bruyne getting sold in his peak years. He might get sold in three years' time. Who knows? But not between now and 2023. I don't think.
No,
not at all. And I think those two put themselves. The last one again, I think it was quite hard. And for me, there was two players in my head who could, well, actually three. On the outskirts, I think it's worth mentioning Conte. I think he's playing his best position again. Absolutely phenomenal. But I think there's two players I'd say who picked it. I'm still trying to figure it out myself now who's had the better year overall. If we're talking just last season, I would have gone with Henderson just because I think he was absolutely phenomenal. Didn't used to be his biggest fan, but he's changed my opinion completely.
Opinions, mate.
Changed
my opinion.
And he was absolutely phenomenal. He's a lot more attacking now. Looking before he used to be what I see in Declan Rice at the moment, a very solid CDM, but who passes sideways, who passes backwards 90% of the time. Now he's always on the turn. He's always looking forward, always passing forward. You see him in that De Bruyne position quite a bit, where if you get what I mean, the right hand side of the pitch, crossing the ball in first time into the box. You see him that quite a bit. And he never used to do any of that. His Transformers game, that's because of his hunger. He wasn't the most naturally talented player, just because of his hunger to get better. And he's absolutely phenomenal. He's at his peak at the moment. Last year got the FWA Football of the Year, runner-up to BBC Sports Person of the Year, which if you're getting runner-up to that award across all the sports, you're doing something right. And this season, again, been absolutely phenomenal. Has taken on the mantle of Liverpool's midfield with Fabinho going back to centre back. He's had to take even more responsibility, and he's done that. Liverpool top of the league, and is playing every game. You notice when he's not playing. I don't know what it is.
Yep.
Liverpool I don't know. It's something about them I don't have. It's something about their energy.
Spark, isn't he, midfield?
Yeah. I think it's his talking. I think it's him breaking up stuff, but also his just presence being there. I think
he's a leader.
It's something that's hard to describe, but when you've got a phenomenal player when you have something like that, when he's not there, and you see that the team's lacking something, it's so noticeable. But he's one player, and the other one is Grealish. I think had a very good year last year, but it's brilliant. This year I think he's really, really taken on. And Aston Villa had an outstanding year, and it's probably mostly to do with Mr. Jack Grealish. He led his side to survival last year, and has already got 11 goal contributions this season, got into the England team, and when he's played for England, has been the best player for England. He's been that good. So is of those two players I'm trying to figure out. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Mate, they're the only two midfielders I've got. I've actually got Jordan Henderson in my starting 11 and Jack Grealish on my subs bench. They're the only two that I wasn't entirely sure of. Like Fernandes, De Bruyne, absolute shoo-ins. But these two are also my two picks. I'm not too sure. Like I said, I've got Jordan Henderson in my starting 11 and Grealish on my bench. I also put Fabinho in my subs bench, but he was sort of a mixture of centre back and midfield, so I didn't really know where to put him because he played so well wherever. But I just found I have to go Jordan Henderson, man. I think for what he done last season, lifting the title, absolutely fantastic. He done something Steven Gerrard couldn't do. He took over as captain, and he transformed that midfield, man. He is phenomenal. I did not used to like Jordan Henderson at all. I still don't really like him, but I respect him a lot more now for being that Liverpool captain. He is fantastic, and for me, I think he is the final slot in that midfield. But Jack Grealish, again, phenomenal. He was a big reason why Villa stayed up last year, and he's an even bigger reason why they're doing so well this season. He is just getting better and better. And I think next year, I feel like we will say Jack Grealish will be in this team. But I just don't think his time is yet.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, like you said, I think last year, they didn't position Henderson and Grealish, but last year Henderson was so much better than Grealish. It's hard to put Grealish in the team just based on his qualities this year, because obviously he's stepped up a notch this year. It's easy to see that. It's been absolutely phenomenal this year. It was great last year, but in my opinion, Henderson was so clear of him last year. Different positions again, but in terms of overall standards, so clear of him. And I know this year maybe Grealish has just picked Henderson in terms of standards. Maybe they're about the same in positions, but because of what happened last year, because of how much better Henderson was last season. And let's not forget, that's the bulk of this year was last season. You got to include Henderson. I think you're completely right. And also, you said about Fabinho, I think it's definitely got to be on the bench. What you said there, 2 positions covered. If we're being tactical here, he's got to be on the bench. He can play centre mid, he can play centre back, he can play right back, he can play left back. Probably can't play goalkeeper, but let's not try that. But yeah, I think he's got to be in there. So I think you're absolutely right. No, it's crazy when I think about it now. But Henderson 10 years ago, everyone was like, "Oh, what an awful buy." Well, Liverpool paid 20 million for him, and 20 million now seems nothing. Absolutely nothing. You can't buy a very good championship player for 20 million now. You pay over 20 million for them. Was it Ollie Watkins? Was 30 mil? And Henderson,
he was 28 mil or something like that, I think.
Yeah, and in a weird way, maybe not to the same levels. It reminds me a bit of Lampard's career. Obviously, he's never going to hit the heights of Lampard in terms of his goal scoring, what Lampard achieved, but in terms of the public's opinion and his overall career, Lampard at the start when he was at West Ham, people thought he was a good player, but maybe not a great player. I mean, it's Chelsea. People thought, it's a good signing, but will he really do that much? And then at Chelsea, improved. Like Henderson, I think he wasn't naturally gifted at the beginning, but he just has an absolute hunger to be better and better and better. For Lampard being better and better and better was scoring more and more goals and being an assister, playmaker, and goal scorer. That was him being better and better and better. And the reason he was so good at it is because of what he did himself. Him working harder and harder, extra hours, extra graft to perfect his game, perfect getting in the box at the right time, and almost make himself better because his talents wouldn't get in there on their own. He wasn't the most talented naturally player, but made himself bloody good because of his hard work. And it's the same thing with Henderson, different way. Henderson's talents lie elsewhere in terms of his long balls, in terms of his breaking up the play, in terms of his first time crosses and that kind of thing. But he's made himself the best he can possibly be at his game and those plays. And that's why I see someone like Lampard.
Yeah, I can see your point there, Finch. I see your point. That's why I definitely think Henderson deserves his spot. He has just transformed his game so much from what, he used to be a joke, really. Absolute joke. Liverpool went from having Steven Gerrard as their captain to Jordan Henderson, and everyone would just laugh you out of the room. But now it's, wow, okay, Jordan Henderson's Liverpool captain, Champions League winner, Premier League winner, one of the best midfielders in the league.
Definitely. Yeah, that's the funny thing. When he first came to the Liverpool team and he first made captain, people were joking about it. People were making fun of his run. When's the last time you heard someone make fun of his run?
Exactly.
I can't remember now. Just because he's that good of a player, who cares about his run? When you're like performing badly, people like pick up on you, don't they? Your little things. Like that's what same thing with Lampard, wasn't it? People talk about him being a bit on the chubby side.
Yeah.
At the beginning of his career. And then people. Yeah, and even as his career went on, he still didn't look the fittest, did he? But no one ever said that again.
No.
You never heard anyone say anything like that.
No. Brilliant. So I guess that's our midfield sorted, Finch.
Definitely. And I think this front three is every position's a coin flip. Every single position.
Yeah.
There's 2 players for every position, I think. And
do you want me to start it off?
You go for it.
I'm going straight in with my striker. I'm going straight for it, Finch. Just because my other 2 players may cause a bit of drama, really. Okay. Not drama, but I just don't think you'll have the same. But I feel like we may agree on the striker. There's only one man for this role, I think. Well, I say one man. I have another striker in my actual starting 11, so it's not just one man, but the first man, I think. And honestly, I did not think 5 years ago I'd be still talking about him 5 years later on. It's Jamie bloody Vardy.
Whoa.
He just gets better, mate, as time goes on. What on earth is this man? Premier League Golden Boot winner last year. let me just read you out some of the names that he beat to this Golden Boot Finch. And these guys, they scored a lot of goals as well. He beat Aubameyang, Salah, Mane, Harry Kane, Jimenez, and Danny Ings. Every single one of them players got above 15 goals last year. He is absolutely fantastic. You know, like I said when I was talking about Johnny Evans and Soyuncu, Leicester was so close to that top 4 finish. They were sitting second, really, for a lot of the season. Then they started to dip. But a lot of the reason they were so high up is because, one, their defence was class. But 2, Jamie Vardy was banging them goals in left, right, and centre, week in, week out. You can't say he didn't do his job properly. You just can't. You cannot blame him for Leicester not finishing in that top 4. It was just, dodgy results on the wrong week. But I definitely think Jamie Vardy deserves a spot in this team. He has been absolutely phenomenal. He's already got 11 goals this season. Could be another goal. Who knows?
Yeah, I think he's not actually in my team, which that is
really.
So I flipped the coin. I thought I'm going to go one striker, and I know he was top scorer last year. Top scorer last year, and I know he's got 11 goals this year. And he's got more goals than anyone since the start of the 2019 season at 34 goals. But if you look at 2020 alone, I was comparing him directly to Harry Kane, because I thought it was Harry Kane or Vardy as my striker. Having one striker in my head, and I just looked at 2020 alone, because I thought Vardy better stats overall. We look at the whole season last year and this season. But if I'm just looking at 2020, to be fair, and they had the same number of goal involvements, 26, Harry Kane and Vardy. Yet Kane's played a lot less in 2020. Last season he played less games, but has the same number of goal involvements. And then you take into account this season, I think they're maybe quite similar in terms of 2020 when Kane played last season. But this season, I think Kane's taken to another level, having 19 goal involvements this season. 9 goals, 10 assists. I've never seen him be so involved in the game. He's now not just a goal scorer, but Vardy, absolutely incredible at what he does. But he's a goal scorer. Kane is much more than the goal scoring. Yeah. Goal scoring and assisting. He gets so many assists now. He drops back. He's a playmaker as well. I can't remember the last time. Maybe Henry was the last striker who got that many assists in halfway through a season or as a striker. And 5 years ago, or a couple of years ago, you would never think Kane would be in the same sentence as Henry in terms of playmaking and his assisting ability.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Well, Finch, Harry Kane, he's got 6 assists in his last sort of 3 seasons. That sort of them sort of stats. So he's already got 10 assists this year. It's absolutely phenomenal standing. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I think that's down to Jose Mourinho. It's absolutely he transformed this man.
Yeah. Well, he's in that Amazon documentary, I'm going to make you explode, and fucking hell, he's done. I know Tottenham last few games haven't done amazing, but if you look at those stats, 9 goals, 10 assists, have they played 15 games, I think, Tottenham? 15 games. Yep. To get those stats, it's absolutely crazy. And I think he was good last season when he played, but because of just how bloody good it's been this season, and I'd probably put him Fernandes as the overall best player of 2020, but I'd probably put Kane or Son as the best player of this season so far, just because of those crazy stats and how much Kane has added to his game this year, which I've never seen before. What he's doing this year, and his hold-up play is just absolutely. The ball goes up to him, and he just holds it up or gets a foul every single time. It's phenomenal. Or sets loose Son, or sets loose Mora, or sets loose
Bergwijn, yeah. Or Bale.
Or Bale. Maybe not Bale, though. Bale in the Europa League, yeah. But he just does it. He does it week in, week out, and just because of how good he's been. That's what I thought. I've got to put him in there. Like Vardy, it was so hard to leave him out. It was so hard because of his goal scoring. But then I thought, I've got a goal scorer, and I've got who's another player who's similar goal scoring record. Not as much overall, but similar goal scoring record. But he's got so much more in terms of his playmaking. So I've got to include it based on that additional ability.
Well, Finchy, I've got a confession, mate. I have got both in my team, so you're fine picking Harry Kane. I have both. I have Vardy and Harry Kane in my 11.
Can you pick one striker though? If you want wingers, how are you going to play the system?
Well, 4-3-3? I know. So really, I'm not entirely going 4-3. I'm more going 4-3-1-2.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, so, do you want me to go to the next position?
You go next position. I've got one left, so you go next.
Okay.
I think we may have the same player though.
Yeah. So next position, I thought flip with a coin, Salah or Mane. They're both been bloody good over last year, but Salah this season, Mane's been good this year, but Salah's just taken it to another level. His
top man.
Blocks, 13 goals in 14 games lead those scoring. He's leading the goal scoring charts this year. And then,
exactly, going 2021 as the top goal scorer, mate.
Yeah, and overall, this year he's got 23 goals and 9 assists.
Yeah.
To his name in this year, and that's absolutely phenomenal. People said, "Oh, one season." He's carried on doing it, and even
he's been doing it season after season, mate.
Last year,
he won the Golden Boot first season. Joint Golden Boot season after. 19 goals last season. He's already on 13 this season. He's incredible. Yeah. He's only got like another 10 or 12 more goals to go until he's got 100 Premier League goals.
That must have been the fewest amount if he gets it quite soon.
Incredible, mate. Absolutely incredible.
That must be the fewest amount. If he gets it in the next
must be
20 games or even 15 games. He'll definitely get it before. I think he'll get it before the end of the season. To be honest, I think he'll be on about.
I think he'll get it before Mane because Mane's not far off it either.
And Mane's been bloody good, but I think he's just been.
This season he's not been. Yeah, he's been a bit off the boil. That's just because Salah's probably upped his game. He's probably seen how good Mane was last season and thought, you know what? No, I'm the best player at Liverpool here. And there's a bit. There's like, I don't know if you noticed this, but there's a bit of rivalry between them two, like a friendly rivalry, I'd say. But they always want to outdo each other,
Yeah.
They always want to be that goal scorer.
Yeah, I think the Salah, which makes him a little bit different. I think Mane's bloody good, but what makes Salah a little bit just overall is a little bit better. I think is because he's just a little bit more ruthless. Salah, he'll go for goal. He won't pass when there's a passing opportunity or goal scoring opportunity. I think Mane maybe will pass half the time in those circumstances. Salah 100% of the time will go for goal. If there's a goal scoring opportunity or passing opportunity, he'll go for the goal scoring opportunity. Because he's a ruthless player, and this season has been more ruthless than ever. Back to when he first started in the Premier League, he's been absolutely phenomenal. And I think he'll probably end up, if he continues like he is, and Liverpool keep getting penalties as well, he'll finish top goal scorer. Yeah. So only Vardy. I think Kane will be up there, but I think Kane will probably be up there with assisting because of how many assists he'll get. He probably won't. Top of goal scoring, to be honest. So I think
fantastic,
Salah.
Yeah. That's my team, Finch. That's my team.
Okay. So the final player I had was Son. So I thought I'm playing Salah. I'm playing Salah left wing.
Yeah.
Well, no, Salah right wing. Sorry, I'm playing Salah right wing, so he cuts in his left, and I'm playing Son left wing. Outstanding pace, cutting in to his right, and I think Son's like Kane. Absolutely, he was good last year, similar level to Kane. But this season, like Kane, take it on to the next level. And them two together, absolutely outstanding. An amazing duo. And he's had 15 goal contributions in the Premier League this year, Son. And he had 4 goals at Southampton alone. He's been absolutely phenomenal. So I thought he's got to really be in there just because of how good he's been. I can't remember a duo as good as Kane and Son since maybe Lampard and Drogba.
Lampard and Drogba, yeah.
Completely different duo.
Absolutely, they've been phenomenal together.
Completely different duo.
They could break the record. Finch, of the goals to assists ratio between them two. They ain't got far to go.
Yeah, haven't got far at all. And he's got 11 goals already this year, and he got 11 goals in the whole of last season. For him to get 11 goals, absolutely phenomenal. He's got the same as Vardy, and Vardy's the out-and-out goal scorer. You got to remember, if you're comparing Vardy this season and Son this season, I know we're doing the whole of the year, they've got the same amount of goals, but Son offers so much more in terms of his assists as well, his overall play in the game. He's a workaholic as well. He'll do tremendous work for Mourinho's team. You've got to do work. If you want to play Mourinho's team, you've got to do the dirty work and get back and do the slide tackles, complain to the ref, all that jazz. And he'll do that all. And he's completely committed. And I think they could break their record, like you said, as a duo. They've got a phenomenal amount of assists to one another at the moment. I think over last year, they've really built that relationship. I know people concentrate on this season, but last year as well, they started building it. And Son can play up front if he wants as well. He covered for Kane last year as well. He can play in that position. And I think this season he's really established himself as a world-class player. I think last year he was always on the edge the last few years of being a world-class player. But now he's in that bracket, I would say, of being a world-class player. That's why I put him in. Because in my head I was playing a striker, Kane, 2 wingers.
I would have. If I had my way, I'd play Harry Kane left wing. But I'm gonna go 4-3-1-2 in that case, and have Salah behind Kane and Vardy.
Are we having different teams with slightly different teams then? Can we not agree?
Yeah. Ooh, I mean, could we agree?
I mean,
would you take Vardy out?
Yeah, I'd have to take. Unfortunately, but absolutely phenomenal. But just because. His stats are absolutely amazing, but just because that is his sole contribution, his goal scoring. It's bloody good contribution, the best at what he does, but that is his sole contribution. And I'm looking at those other,
That's his job, man.
3 players. That's
his job.
And they offer so much more. If I'm thinking of those players, how much they contribute to a team, if you talk about overall contribution, I think it's more than what Vardy contributes. Because you can get another goal scorer, but can you get another player, a world-class player like Son, Salah, or Kane? So, would you count Vardy as world-class? That's the question. Well, I would count the other 3 players as world-class. 4 if you count Mane as well as world-class. It's 4 players.
I guess so, but I just think because of 2020, he was the league's top goal scorer. He's continued his blistering form, Finch, and he is 33 years old, something like 33. That. He's just getting better and better.
Yeah,
he's incredible. He's leading this, Leicester attack. There's a reason why Leicester are where they are. They're above Spurs. They were above Spurs last season. They are fantastic, and Jamie Vardy is their number 1 man. I think Jamie Vardy deserves his spot.
Yeah, we'll have to agree to disagree for that one. It's hard to argue because both cases are valid.
Exactly. That's what I mean. I couldn't really say one's better than the other because they're both absolutely fantastic. I just think if we could have 12 men in the team, then Son's on my bench. He's the first name on my bench.
Yeah,
but
it's hard because it's so close. It depends what you want. If you want complete goal scoring, or if you want the overall contribution to a team.
But with the overall contribution, I have Salah and Harry Kane. Like that's what we said. Harry Kane's brought that assist to his game. So
but you're playing well.
Yeah.
But you're playing Kane left wing.
Team, De Bruyne. Oh, I probably wouldn't. No, I'd play 4-3-1-2.
Where you? So who's playing where in your team?
I'd play Henderson, CDM, De Bruyne one side, Fernandes the other. They can float about, switch. And I have Salah. Or maybe Kane actually behind the 2 strikers.
So do you think that gets the most out of them though, playing those positions? Whereas if you do with Martin, Son, Kane, and Salah, that's their usual positions, isn't it?
I know, but I feel like we said, that Kane does sit back these days. I think Kane as a centre forward can still push up, but he'll also sort of run that sort of centre attacking mid role. And then Salah can play striker, definitely. And Vardy is the main striker. So
Salah can play striker, but I think would you get the best out of him in that position when he?
No, but
you see left wing, absolutely phenomenal.
Just because he's playing striker doesn't mean just because I've got him as striker doesn't mean he can't stick to that right hand side, Finch, and move about like a winger. Yeah,
that's true. But you're still not playing in the best position, except from Vardy. You're not playing in the absolute best position. But
no, but I'm fitting the formation to what most of the players have been at their best in 2020, which is what the team was, the best team of 2020. So I put Harry Kane in that centre forward role. The only one I'm playing slightly out of position is maybe Mo Salah. But Salah's played striker plenty of times before for Liverpool. He'll often drift in and become that striker role, and Firmino will sit back and play centre forward behind him. And, he'll have Mane and Salah, they may act as the wingers, but they're actually playing as the 2 strikers. It's like a false sort of 9 formation.
But that only works when they have that formation, doesn't it? Because he can cut in. He won't just go into the centre forward position without Firmino swapping that position, if you know what I mean, and go into the right wing position. So
it could have really a false nine of Vardy on one wing, Salah on the other, and Harry Kane as the Firmino role.
You could. Well, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree there because it is so close.
Disagree
because both players, they're all been phenomenal. Like you said, Vardy been a top goal scorer in the league over the last in 2020. Actually, no.
Yeah.
Actually, thinking about it, has he or was it Salah has been the top goal scorer in 2020? If we just look at 2020 alone, not. Vardy's got it since 2019, end of the start of 2019-20 season. But I think he might be equal with Salah in terms of the actual calendar year. But either way, Vardy is
either way, they're both my team. So.
Yeah. Either way, Son, Kane has got the highest amount of goal contributions by far this season, and overall this year is drawn with Vardy. I think Salah's got the most goal contributions as a front three member there.
Yep.
Obviously, Fernandes has got the most goal contributions out of any player overall. And Son, I just brought him in there just because of what he's done. The 15 goal contributions this season, and last season established himself in that world-class bracket, getting overall 22 goals, I want to say, in all competitions, which is phenomenal. His best return by far. But he was the same reasons as Kane. I'm putting him in there. I said 22, he got 18 overall. Don't know where that 22 number came from. I'm putting him there because of how phenomenal and standout he's been this year. Because I think we're talking about Kane, potentially best player this season. I know I'm only focusing this season, but Son's probably second. And Tottenham would be way down without them. I know that they're maybe not the highest of them, but they would be like just probably mid-table or just above relegation or something because without those goals and assists, because they've scored basically every single goal for them. And that is unheard of, having a duo like that. And that's another reason why I put them. We're talking imaginary world. What you get of having them as a duo is absolutely outstanding. Now, having them both in, there's so many benefits of putting them both in. But that would be absolutely imaginary. If I'm talking about if this team played, and that's not what we're talking about. But if this team did play, then having those two in there would be completely beneficial, just because of how bloody good they are together. But we've got to agree to disagree. It's not bad having one difference in the team.
Oh, definitely not.
Not bad at all. So I think
definitely not.
With that, the subs, I think, would be either Son or Vardy.
Yeah,
Son or Vardy. Grealish, yeah.
Fabinho.
100%.
I'll put Kovacic down.
Ooh.
I thought he was brilliant for Chelsea last year. Absolutely fantastic. Obviously, our player of the season and a huge part of why we finished in that top four. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. We're talking five subs, and we've already got 2 midfielders in there.
Are we talking 5 subs? I thought we were just listing some.
5 subs, yeah. We've got 5 subs in there.
Okay. So
goalkeeper, we've got to put one goalkeeper in there. I would say Henderson's a shout, but then he hasn't played. It's hard to put him in just because I think Pope or Henderson. It's one of those two, I think.
Nick Pope.
Let's go.
I think he deserves it more, Nick Pope, I'd say, especially for what he's done this year.
Yeah, let's go Pope then. For what he did. Let's go Pope.
And then, so how many we got? So how many left? Is it 2? 2 options left?
2 options left, yeah.
I think Marley's got to be there.
We'll actually extend it to 6. Extend to 6 because we've got that one either side, either Vardy or it's Vardy or Son is definitely going in there. So that's the 6th member. So let's put them away because we've already discussed that. So we've got 2 more. Then. I think Mane's got to go in there, definitely.
I think the final one, honestly, I think it's down to 2 players who can go in there. One who, honestly, could have got into the team of the year had he not have had such a poor start of this season. That's Aubameyang. I think he deserves a spot, maybe on the bench. But the other one, who I think probably deserves it more than him, Danny Ings.
Or there's another similar one in that bracket, Raheem Sterling to Aubameyang.
Yeah,
got 20 goals last season. he's a winger, not an out and out striker, and he got 2 less than Aubameyang, and played less games than Aubameyang. If you look at all the stats as well, much higher rated per game in terms of his ratings. And
Didn't Danny score more
than Sterling? Yeah, but in terms of if you look at his overall ratings per game for like stats agencies like Who Scored, like their overall performance out of 10 based on a whole bunch of stats: passing, assists, goals, chances created. Sterling, out of those 3, has by far the best stats. And Danny Ings played 38 games last year, got 22 goals, outstanding. But Sterling, 30 games, 20 goals. It's a much better return per game just in goal scoring. But his overall stats were much better. And Sterling this season, he hasn't been as good. He's been better than Aubameyang, but he hasn't been as good. It's not hard to be better than Aubameyang, to be honest. Aubameyang's been awful, but he's got 4 goals in the Premier League this year out of 13 games, which I'm saying is not I'm saying it as if it's bad. It's not that bad, 4 goals in 13 games for an average player, or for a very good player in the Premier League. But Sterling, over the past few years, has set such high standards in getting 20, 18, 17 goals in each season in the Premier League. That 4 goals, when we're getting, I keep thinking we're getting halfway through a season, but it's just a bit less than halfway through a season. Isn't as good as he probably hoped. And I think he's starting to pick up form now. The last 2 games, it seemed like he's picking up form. So I think he's got to have a shout in there as well. So I think it's one of those 3. I'd probably take out Aubameyang completely, because I think just because of how poor, you can't include him based on how poor he's been this year.
He has been shocking, really. Absolutely shocking.
Yeah. And Ings hasn't been as good this year, has he? He's got 6 goals.
He has been injured. He has been injured for a couple of months.
Still played 11 games this season. So he's been good, but it hasn't been as good.
No.
And it's hard to pick. I mean, if Maddison played more this season, I'd probably put him in there as well, just because.
But he didn't really do much last season, did he?
Well, he if you look at this, I'm just looking now at Who Scored, their top 10 players in the league last year in terms of overall stats, chances created, goals per game, all those kind of stats. His rated as the 9th best player. 29 games last year. Although his high level stats, you look at the goals and assists, 6 goals, 3 assists, don't look great.
Yeah.
If you look at the chances created per game, he's got one of the highest chances created per game out of any player in the league. It's just because maybe the likes of Demarai Gray, Harvey Barnes, probably not Vardy. Vardy probably finished most of his off, but the other players didn't finish those chances off, which is no fault of his as well, I guess. So it's hard. It's a hard one who you put in there, and even I would say Adama Traore would be on the bench if he had a good year.
Traore was absolutely fantastic last season.
I think I'm looking at these stats again. His high level stats maybe aren't as good as like Sterling's or Ings or anything like that. He's got 4 goals, 9 assists last year, but his chances created again. He's rated as the 3rd overall best player in the league. If you look at his ratings with all the stats combined by Who Scored, so.
Finch could even have a spot for like Jimenez and players like that. Really,
but it's because there's a bunch of
players.
There's
so many players that we could have, but to find that one best, I think it is down to Sterling or Ings. Really,
I think it's one of them too. And they're both. It's quite similar because although Ings had 2 more goals,
I would probably, for the sake of the team, because we've already got Salah. We've already got Harry Kane. We've got James Vardy. I feel like we don't really need a Danny Ings.
No, I agree. I think Sterling would add more for the team and
more to offer.
Yeah, and I think his overall year has been probably. I know Danny Ings has been very good, but again, goes back to the argument earlier we talked about Vardy. I think Ings is just now an goal scorer, and Sterling is so much to his game. His goal scoring is just one bit, which has been brought on the last few years. There's so much to his game that you got to have him in there somewhere. I think he's got to be in there. It's tough though because, like you said, there's about 4 or 5 players who were absolutely outstanding last year, but maybe haven't hit the heights this year. And like if Aubameyang or Sterling or Ings, one of those 3, or all those 3, had been playing to the same level they were last year, that could be the front 3. if they continue playing at that level, they could have made the actual front three, but they've all dropped off for various different reasons.
Exactly.
Which easily was Ings was 1 goal behind Vardy. And
exactly.
If he had 12 goals this season, you probably put him just ahead. Or he had 13 goals, the same as Salah, you probably put him just ahead of Vardy because he'll be the better goal scorer. Same with if Sterling had better stats than Salah this year. They were very similar last year. You have to put Sterling ahead of him. And then Aubameyang, if he continued his goal scoring the rate he did last year, was absolutely outstanding. You'd have to put him ahead of Kane. But they all haven't continued at that rate, and it just showed the front three were picked. If you pick Vardy, I pick Son. That doesn't matter. They both continued where they left off last year and got even better, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
That made the difference. Definitely. And what coach are we going for?
Manager of the season, got to be Klopp.
Yeah, easily, I think. There's no argument there, is there?
No, it's got to be Klopp.
He's
been fantastic.
It's not just win the league, is it? It's brought the league.
The mentality
Yeah.
is phenomenal of that club. Like they're winners now, Finch. At the end of the day, they want to win every single game. Just like every club, really, but they fight like right to the end. You know that they showed really Klopp's mentality when they played Spurs and they scored that last minute win and they was pushing and pushing. I think Spurs are happy for the point. Liverpool wanted that win.
Yeah. So I think out of all the top sides in England, it was at the point they won the league. It's hard. It was the point he came to Liverpool. It was the hardest top club to win the league.
Yeah.
Out of all the top clubs in England, just because of that overriding thing, the overriding shadow, which is always above them, or beneath them, whatever you want to say, and that they have never won the Premier League, because that was always there. That was always in the back of Liverpool's minds. Because that was there, it made it so much harder to win the league with Liverpool. It's obviously easier to win it with Chelsea, with Man City, with Man United, or who's the other club I'm thinking of? Man City, Chelsea, Man United, or even Arsenal. Probably even Arsenal. Maybe not Spurs, but probably even Arsenal. It would be easier to win the Premier League with those 4 clubs just because they don't have this overriding thing in the back of their minds that they never won a league. It's overarching force, it's overarching big shadow basically behind them, which was always there, always on their backs. There's always a little monster on their backs, which they could never get off. It was it was hard to explain, wasn't it? What that little force was always there, and it was always over them. Think, Liverpool are never going to win the Premier League, and that kind of line and that kind of thought was always there. So to break that line of thought, to break that overarching force against them was absolutely massive, because it's hard to underestimate. It's easy to forget how much people used to say, Liverpool are never going to win the league, they're always going to bottle it, and that was true. It's hard to a lot of people forgot that. I think a lot of people have forgot that Liverpool used to be big bottlers. They used to have this mentality. Absolute joke. And they used to have that mentality that they would never finish. Well, get over the finish line. They would never finish off the season winning something. They'd never finish off the season winning the league, just because there was something always hanging over them. That's the word I was trying to say. There was something always hanging over them that they'd never win the league. They would never actually do it. And Klopp, to break that, absolutely phenomenal.
Fantastic. So I think we have our team, Finch. Do you want to give a little run through of starting next time?
Well, I think the back 4, Liverpool driven. That's because Liverpool have had the best defence over the past year. Starting from the back, Mr. Alisson Becker, by far the best goalkeeper in the league. You got those 2 flying fullbacks, best in the world, in the FIFA Team of the Year. Not just our opinions. There's no argument here. Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right, Mr. Robertson on the left. Between them last season, they got a whole bunch of assists, 25 between them. Absolutely phenomenal. This season, Trent maybe not so much. The assistants come back to it now. Robertson's just carried on strength to strength. Centre-back, although he's been injured for part of this year, Van Dijk has got to be in there. Best centre-back, best defender probably in the world this year. Even taking into account he's been injured. Best defender by a country mile. The next one, next to Van Dijk, the centre-back pairing him, that was a hard one. There was a bunch of players quite close. You had your Codys, you had your Tarkowskis, you had your Soyuncu's, but ultimately we picked Johnny Evans. Well, more you picked Johnny Evans, just based on his consistency and the fact that he's been fit for this whole year. Then going to midfield, this midfield would be probably the best midfield in the world if they were all in one team. You probably couldn't argue with that. If a team had these three in midfield, would definitely be the best team in the world and be hard to beat no matter what the defence or attack is. You have Jordan Henderson sitting in there, been absolutely phenomenal, even got Sports Personality Runners Up award, which as a footballer, it's always hard to get. You don't really see many footballers nominated for that award unless they won the Ballon d'Or, which hasn't happened for an English footballer since bloody Owen. Then you have Bruno Fernandes taking the Premier League by storm, probably our player of 2020. Definitely our player of 2020, in fact. Then you have next to him De Bruyne, equaled that unbelievable Henry record, 20 assists. You got to include him. Phenomenal player.
Yeah.
Belgian gold dust. Then the front three. We had two players the same in Mr. Harry Kane, phenomenal force. What he's done this season in getting 10 assists, 9 goals, unheard of since Henry for a striker to do that kind of thing. Then next to him, you of course got to have Mo Salah in there. Phenomenal player. Top of his game at the moment, 13 goals in the Premier League. Just this season so far. Absolutely phenomenal. Then the other position, flip of a coin, Heung-min Son or Jamie Vardy, both absolutely outstanding talents on top of the game. Probably wouldn't matter to the team too much either way if they were playing in reality, one of them. Both very similar level, both bloody good. Either way, phenomenal team. Either way, they're both phenomenal players. And what a team that is. Managed by Mr. Jurgen Klopp.
Oh, Finch. Wow. What a squad.
Whew, what a team.
Bloody hell, man. That is a team of 2020.
Stay tuned for next year's team.
Yes. Have a good new year.